Our first talk will be delivered by Zhang Yishuai, who is an artist and researcher. His artworks explore and navigate a spectrum of dynamic resonance between organism and machines. And he will be giving a talk on Tao-machine, bridging symbolic logic from Yishuai and computational image processing. So without further ado, I present to you Yishuai, and I hope you enjoy the talk. Welcome to the conference.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yishuai. Zhang, yeah, that's the name. And first of all, I really want to thank the organizer to invite me to this data science conference. And I know it's more like data science related, but I'm really pleased to come with my art project. I just graduated from the Master of Fine Art at Goldsmith, Computational Art. It's majorly between art and computation science and how to bridge this seemingly quite separated subjects together through creativity and care for humanity. I already said my name is Yishuai. I'm originally from China, and my studies mostly interdisciplinary study between science, art, philosophy, and some Eastern religions study. And today I'm gonna bring my latest project. The name of the project is called The Poetry of Change. It is very complicated, like multi-dimensional project, encapsulated in different formats. And today, because my art study is also trying to create art through computation, through coding, programming to yield healing quality. So today I'm mainly talking about the theory and the inspiration behind, like why I'm doing this. And it's about my upbringings. It's also about the intention to heal, to bring this very innovative facade of computer technology to the audience and to everyone who like art. So now I'm gonna talk about my presentation. The title is Tao-machine, bridging symbolic logic from I Ching and computational image processing syntaxes through the model of speculative process metaphysics. Wow, some people might think, oh, such a complicated title with so many jargon things. Don't worry, I'm gonna decompose it through different parts to elaborate how I constitute this title and what is the intention behind and how they can be together harmoniously. So first of all, I want to talk about Gottfried Leibniz, who is a German philosophy and mathematician who actually not claim, like most people think he invented the most original binary system, 1 and 0, which basically constitute all the computation we're using now. All the coding language is based on 1 and 0. Actually, after Leibniz's friend, Father Joachim, who stationed in Beijing, sent him a diagram of the 64 hexagrams from I Ching, he was duly surprised and immediately wrote another paper to credit the Chinese Taoist thoughts with having invented the first binary code. So now we're talking about what is I Ching. Some people might not know it very well, but I Ching is actually a very ancient book, consists of ancient Chinese philosophy, epistemology, and also metaphysics and physics. It's a very mysterious and very complicated book. Consists of a lot of study behind it. A lot of people contribute to it. So when I'm doing computer science, computation, I'm thinking, that's interesting. I Ching is from my country and it's from my culture. I want to dive more into it and see how the ancient Chinese people, they use I Ching and what they want to express through this symbolism. So this is everyone knows, I guess most of people knows Taiji. Is this the circle thing, half white and half black? And then the white and black actually represent 1 and 0, the yin and yang. So here you can see through the arrow, it's yang is 1, yin is 0. It's more like a representation of the intact line and a line which is cut in the middle. And then when you put 3 of this line together, it's a trigram. Why 3 at the first? But yeah, why? Because we used to think there is sky, which is heaven, earth, which is planet Earth, and people. So this is this tri-structure, triadic structure, heaven, people, and earth. So this is how we perceive life and everything around us. So we have these 3 lines here to form the original trigram. And then I Ching, it's E. It's also about change. So we want to change because time creates changes, space creates changes. So when 2 trigrams add together, it's a hexagram. So it represents the change, like from one state to another state. So that's the story, how from the most origin yin and yang, 1 and 0, how the hexagram is formulated through the process. The Eastern saints Fuxi, Laozi, and Imperial Wen from Zhou dynasty invented the 8 trigrams to express a profound level of cognition and recognition of our universe. After the successive complementing of comments and explanations were integrated into the 8 trigrams during hundreds of years, a complete symbolic system was established using finite symbols to represent infinite phenomena in the cosmos. Each trigram in the 8 trigrams system symbolizes one of the different metaphysical entities that have similar energy dynamics or states in nature. This might be a bit hard to process, but I will give you an example later. So now if you look at this table, there is a trigram glyph. So you can see so everyone know math, when 2 power 3, and it's 8. So there will be 8 different outcomes of the trigram. And each one of them, as I said before, it's like heaven, people, and earth, this 3 triadic structure. And each one of them represent a specific energy, a specific name, a specific Greek titan, hours, cardinal direction. There are so many different things coming through, in the later 500 years later. But the most important thing I want to mention here is nature. So you see the 111, when all the bar is complete, it's heaven, it's the energy, it's the pure heaven energy. And then you have lake, which is 110. You have 101, which is the heart of the fire. It's the fire. And you have 100, which is the thunder. And then you have 011, wind, water, mountain, and ground. This encapsulates all the different energy. Of course, there's more energy. But what I understand from a modern scientific perspective, it's how atom or even quark or even subatoms, they entangled. It's the dynamic, it's the movement of these different forms of atoms and particles. And it's a combination of particle and waves, which I also used in my art project. So with the invention of the 8 trigram system, ancient Chinese elevated the complexity of the system and developed a more enriched system, which consists of 64 pairwise permutations of trigrams, referred to as hexagram. Along with commentary on each one, in Taoism, it is believed that all matter and qi come from the source of subtle energy. Yeah, the subtle energy, instrument vibration, this is more like a energy talk. I don't know if people are familiar with Qi, which is in Indian, they call it prana, kundalini, and there's different thing, like different phrase around the same thing. It's mainly the vital energy that support our life. So that is Qi. And it is actually scientifically proved by American scientists through some machine called superconductive quantum machine or something. So that's why the Chinese medicine now it's also revived a bit internationally, globally, because the meridian system, everything, it's been proved to be true, to be existed. I mean, through the development of science, we always know things more. So we always know nothing, to be honest. So here there is the two hexagram. So the first one, the top is the fire and the lower one is the water. So it's called before completion. Is it good? Because fire energy goes above, and water, because it's controlled by gravity, so it goes down. So they don't really change. They separate. So this is nothing interesting. So it's before completion. There is nothing gonna happen. I mean, nothing concrete or nothing consequently gonna happen. But the one below, which is the water on the top, the fire at the bottom, this is different because thinking about cooking water, this is like fire start to cook the water to make steam and change the dynamic, change the structure of the atoms. So there's something happening. So it's already folding, it's already past. So there's something happening. So this is also the meaning behind different things. Behind different hexagram, there's so many different layers of meaning. I'm not gonna talk about it all here. I'm just do some brief introduction. As you remember, there's thunder, there's mountain, there's heaven, there's earth. All this different combination of different energy yield different meaning. And the meaning extends from energy dynamic, energetic dynamic, ethics, like different occasion, different thing happening in the society. This part is, of course, limited because we have limited experience in our life. So we can only simulate and can only, I think it's a speculation. So within this table, you can briefly see the 64 different hexagram in the table and how they're combined, which one is on the top with ones at the bottom. And they all have different name. Here I write English name. It's better for everyone to understand. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So through all this change and how this symbolism in I Ching, it's a very brief introduction. Then we come to Alfred Whitehead. Alfred North Whitehead is a British mathematician, philosophy, educator. He has this idea of speculative process metaphysics, which I read. I was reading Alfred North Whitehead, and I was so inspired because he doesn't believe there's separation between science and art, between physics and metaphysics, even between metaphysics and pataphysics. So when we're talking about, are we talking about religion? I mean, people think our religion, there's like God, like things is very beyond the concrete truth, or we're talking about science. Are they really separated? So I don't think, to be honest, I don't think they're separated. I think, but I can't say I'm right, yeah, because nothing is actually right or wrong. But according to Whitehead, mathematics goes to process and reality, and then goes to speculative process metaphysics, and the binary system, physics, mathematics, science, process, metaphysics, philosophy, art. What's the relation in between? What's the entanglement? So speculative process metaphysics as a whole theoretical framework employs three different methodologies simultaneously. Empiricism, which is knowledge from experience, such as axiomatics in Western science, and rationalism, knowledge from deduction. So it's more like a constructive, more like a systematic knowledge system. And speculation, knowledge from imagination, such as mythology, metaphysics, and also pataphysics, which could potentially initiate an early process of knowledge integration towards the notion of interdisciplinarity and transdisciplinarity. So this combination between the three factor here is very intriguing for me. I'm thinking, how can we go beyond? How can we surpass the limitation of a very single subject? Because not everybody, there is a big tendency, a trend that the world is becoming to merge in different direction, different subjects. A biologist collaborate with artists, with musician, computer scientists, they start to make things more creative, to make project with dancer, or make things for chanting or meditation, all this thing. And we experience, we think, we live through, and we just dangling in between these factors, which is true, we don't know, but we grow somehow. And we celebrate the diversity. I think that's the good thing for the world to become, which we should do as human beings, to celebrate diversity without a very biased, judgmental opinion towards any claim or anything. So from the opening page of his opus Process of Reality, here's written: philosophy begins on the ground with the concrete reality of lived experience. Experience provides us with the raw data for our theories. Then our thought takes off, losing contact with the ground and soaring into heights of imaginative speculation. During speculation, we use rational criteria and imagination to synthesize facts into relatively systematic worldview. In the end, however, our theories must be eventually land and once again make contact with the ground. Our speculations and hypotheses must ultimately answer once again the authority of experience. So we have to land again. So that's why I I adore, respect, worship all the great scientists who actually land on the ground to make actual contribution. But there's always two sides, because we also have like nuclear weapon, and so it's really hard to judge. But I mean, this improvement, this forthcoming, this thing, it's good. I always think, what we can have in the future, how the technology will soar. But this is great. I think this is something we always do, kind of in the cycle. We always come back to ground, but we also have to be imaginative. So that's why art becomes rather quite important these days. So now to my project, Tao-machine and the Poetry of Change, Computer Science and Art. So the combination of Tao's symbol, blah, blah, blah. This is just talking about the things behind, but basically I make this work to use the creativity of computer to link the symbol and algorithm, link them together and change the symbol. Because there are 64 different symbols, and each symbol represents an algorithm, and different algorithm, because of time, the order they change also use different outcome for the photo outcome. I'm like processing original photo and manipulating the pixel and the color and the dynamic. So it's infinite. I'm just using this limited format version of symbolism to yield an infinite outcome of creativity, of painting, digital painting. Yeah, there's more thing, this is detail, but I know people just don't really like to read. I'm just gonna jump to the video. So
The intra-active mode is set up as the default mode for continuous display. The symbol changes, the word changes, so the images. Each symbol represents a specific combination of algorithms that generate the moving images. With 64 symbols in total, and taking account for the different sequences in which the symbols appear, the possibilities of the 2D moving images are ultimately nearing infinity, creating its own space-time mattering. The interactive mode is a performance as a ritual to assemble space for meditation and healing. Immersed in the altering color, pattern, symbol, and word, the performer interacts with the audience, the portals, the colors, and reads poems. The poetry of change dissolves the dualism between free will and unconditional love. Particles and waves, matter and energy, logic and emotion, objectivity and subjectivity.
Okay, that's the video. Yeah, I'm gonna brief talk about technology here because we don't really have that much of time. This is a twofold system: actuality, potentiality. I store the data from all the pixel depending on the brightness, and then separate them into yin and yang, different group. So yin and yang particle, they have different rules to follow, which the rule will be altered by the different thing here, like potentiality. So potentiality is regulating syntaxes, both visually and functionally. So there is like color, there is, I create something called entropy factor, and there is the symbol. This F, this is the symbol if it's like 64 possibility. So this is how I created this Tao-machine. Aesthetic, confusion, abstract art is particle, impressionist art is waves. So with the help of Tao-machine, the ordinary and generally ignored daily objects are transformed into codified objects as moving images with infinite possibilities in its dynamic and a sense of confusion. According to Taoist master Zhang, confusion is one of the most important components that constitutes Taoist aesthetic and ethics. Being confused means that the Taoist is not able to distinguish between the beautiful and the ugly, but the process that makes the beauty or the ugliness. Therefore, confusion is possibly only situated in the horizon of discrepancy and by the same token of indifferentiation and of equality value. So it's more like emphasize on process, like Whitehead, process philosophy, and also topology and mereology, which is both more investigating the relationships between different things rather than is this white or good, if it's good or bad. So here are some images. There's original image, and the number is just the trigram, and the previous symbol also very heavily decide how it looks, and there is a capture moment. So this is particles. This one I really like, I really love. When it comes, I'm like, oh, it looks so nice. This is praying hands, and the symbol is great invigorating. The previous symbol is a different one. And this is the wave, impressionist art wave. Original is Zeus, and this makes Zeus so angry, like, oh, what you human has done to the planet. So it's very angry. And this is a lotus, and the symbol is swallowing, and the capture moment is 19 seconds. Okay, that's my presentation, and thanks for your attention that turn particles into waves, if you are familiar with the double slit experiment.
Thank you, Yishuai, for this very intriguing, and especially the video. I have to say, I was fascinated by it for the whole duration of it. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to ask you any questions about it.
It's fine.
But once again, thank you very much for the presentation. I think you definitely brought a unique point of view to the conference. And I do hope you enjoyed your time here as much as we did.
Thank you. Please have a successful rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.